We all know Bruce Dickinson as the lead singer of Iron Maiden, but he has also had a solo career. Bruce left Iron Maiden in the 90s, but he came back in the year 2000 and has been active with the band for the past 24 years. Since then, he has only had one solo album since his return to Maiden. That was Tyranny of Souls from 2005. Now it's 19 years later, and he decided to release another solo album. This has been something he has thought about for many years. The Mandrake Project was released on March 1st, 2024. On this album, he teams up with Roy Z on guitar and bass and Dave Moreno on drums. The album has 10 songs. It's about an hour long. He also released 2 singles prior to the release of the album, which were Afterglow of Ragnarok and Rain on the Graves. There's also another version of If Eternity Should Fail from the Book of Souls. I'll be talking about all of this in this video. Let me first read a quote from Bruce about the concept of the album and the comic book. The Mandrake Project is one. It's an album, it's the name of the album. The comic is a 12-episode graphic novel, kind of adult. There's lots of stuff in it. There's lots of sex and drugs and violence and all kinds of stuff. But it's basically a story about a guy who is looking for his identity, Dr. Necropolis. He's an orphan. He's a genius, and he hates it. And he hates life. But he's involved in the Mandrake Project. And the Mandrake Project aims to take the human soul at the point of death, capture it, store it, and put it back in something else. And the guy that's running the project, Professor Lazarus, he has one vision of what's going to happen with this technology, and Necropolis has other ideas. Afterglow of Ragnarok was the first single. I think this sets the tone for the album. First of all, the main riff is very heavy and epic. Secondly, he's letting you know right out the gate that it's not going to be like an Iron Maiden album. There's a part towards the end of the song at around 4 minutes where they bring in this guitar riff right before the solo. I thought that was really awesome, and I really like this song. Many Doors to Hell is the next song. This one had a retro heavy metal feel. There were heavy guitars and keyboards. It reminded me of some of those bands that are bringing back that retro sound. Bands that came to mind were Lucifer or Green Lung, or those types of bands. The song had a really great vocal performance by Bruce. He does his lower and higher range vocals. Roy Z has some awesome guitar work in the song, and the song is also catchy. The songs have some great hooks, and they're very memorable, and I really like the choruses that they will stick in your head. Rain on the Graves was the second single. I really like this song. It has a cool music video that was reminiscent of old black and white horror movies. This is classic Bruce Dickinson. It has a chorus that will stick in your head. There are also some heavy guitar riffs that bring back this retro heavy metal sound. I thought that this song was very epic. I really liked the guitar solo, and I thought this song really stood out on the album. Resurrection Men was different because it had this slow intro with a bass line that slowly builds, but when the song takes off, it takes you by surprise with some post-punk, western-style guitar riffs. I felt they experimented a little bit with it. This was still a typical Bruce Dickinson song. Then they throw another curveball at you about halfway through the song. They bring in these slow Black Sabbath-style guitar riffs. This particular riff sounded like something that Tony Iommi would write back in 1972. This is paired with some jazzy bass lines. I really like this song. They're playing around with some different styles, but the song still sounds very cohesive. Fingers in the Wound was the shortest song at under 4 minutes. They did a really good job of packing a lot of different ideas into the song in a short runtime because they have these epic and big guitar chords, and then other parts where it's a little more subdued with piano playing, and another part of the song where they play these Middle Eastern guitar sounds, and everything just sounds very big and epic, and it's all done under 4 minutes. Before I continue, I have a dad joke. What did Bruce Dickinson do when he saw a bear in the woods? He ran to the hills. Now let me move on. Eternity Has Failed is an alternate version of the song that appeared on the Book of Souls from Iron Maiden. If you remember this album right here, it was originally called If Eternity Should Fail. I've always liked the original, probably one of my favorite songs from the Book of Souls album, but it was a little different. In general, the structure and sound system were very similar to the original, but Bruce added a little bit more flavor to the sounds. For example, I heard some more wind instruments, and the lyrics were not exactly the same. They also added in some more keyboards and gave it more of a retro 70s heavy metal sound. I thought it was cool. I heard some more backing vocals, and that kind of gave it a more of a fuller sound. They also included that ending spoken part, and the ending of the original Iron Maiden song sounded very like evil and demonic, but this one was a little more like human and I guess real sounding. Mistress of Mercy was one of the faster and heavier songs with the bass guitar intro and fast and aggressive pacing. I like most of the songs in this album. It had hooks, had a memorable chorus. I really liked the part at about like 2 minutes. They hit you with these heavy and chunky guitar riffs, and they do these like Maiden-esque melodic guitar riffs, and they add that right on top of it. And this all happens right before the solo. They added some different stuff towards the end, and they do some psychedelic rock sounds and stuff like that. I thought it was a good track. Facing the Mirror is a ballad, also one of the shorter songs, just over 4 minutes. Sounds like a typical Bruce Dickinson ballad. It has acoustic guitars and piano. I think my favorite part of the song was the guitar solo. They played it on an acoustic guitar, and I'm glad that Roy Z did not use an electric for this. I think it would have sounded maybe too 80s-ish or glam metal-ish. I thought it was better with just the acoustic in. The production was good. There was different layers of sound, and then you had like different like layers of vocal tracks in the song. Shadow of the Gods is another ballad. This is a very like epic type of sound. So first of all, it's a longer song. It's 7 minutes. Second of all, the song has a lot more depth in terms of production. There are many instruments used. There are different layers of sound. Bruce was able to do softer vocals in the verse and more powerful vocals in the chorus. And I thought that made it sound a lot more epic. The song takes a dramatic turn around the middle of the song. It really starts to get heavy. At this point in the song, it sounds like some traditional heavy metal. I would even say it sounds like Iron Maiden, like from the old days. Here, Bruce starts to use some harsher and more aggressive vocals to go with the tone of the song. And that Maiden influence is still apparent on some of the harmonized lead guitars that are used towards the end of the song. The last song is Sonata, Immortal Beloved. Last song is over 9 minutes. It's very epic. I would have called this a power ballad. Has a lot of those characteristics. I feel they use more electric guitars in some parts, and the song has other parts and with more orchestration. It's pretty much just a laid-back track. The song is meant to have a very like climactic feel at one point in the song. About halfway through, I think Bruce starts like speaking and telling a story. I like that part. They're bringing in some more clean guitar tones, and I felt the song was meant to have a very big, theatrical, and dramatic feel. As the song ends, it gets very atmospheric and ambient. It reminded me a little bit of like Pink Floyd with some of that like David Gilmour style playing towards the end. And now for my final thoughts. I thought in general it was a very good album. I think the first half of the album is the stronger half, but I think the album starts to drag a little towards the end, especially with the 2 songs at the end, which clock in at about like 16 minutes, like put together. That made the album drag a little, but otherwise I thought it was one of his best albums that I've heard. I mean, Bruce doesn't have bad albums, with the exception of some of the ones from the early 90s, but everything he's done like since the late 90s and onward has been really great. So I like this. I'm going to give this a solid 8 out of 10, only because it drags a little in the second half of the album. But that is all. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Check out my review of Book of Souls. I'll stick that there. I thought that would be the appropriate follow-up video. And thanks for watching. Please like this video. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe if you're not already. I will see you in the next one.